This is the Sensei Podcast, where we help you make sense of investments and financial markets, where we help you make sensible financial choices. I am your host, Ndwati Karanja. There's a meme I've seen several times on different social media, and it goes like this. It starts off with a question where the person is asking, why are vampires always wealthy in movies? What do they do for a living? And the response to that question in that meme is that if you've been alive since 1892 and you're still broke, you might as well just step into the sun and get vaporized. Yeah, it's true that vampires in movies are usually quite wealthy. And I think there is a classic example of investment in how their lives are portrayed. And the reason I think it is very important is because most of us usually feel that we have quite limited resources compared to the kind of goals that we have, compared, for example, to the kind of lifestyle that we would like to live in the future. However, I believe, and I would like to talk about it in this episode, that the only thing that limits our resources is time. Given enough time and investments that have a reasonable return, they don't need to be exuberant. We can achieve the goals that we have in our future. And I would like to talk to you about how to get your money to work for you over a long period of time. And to do this, we'll first of all revisit a concept I think you know about, compound interest. Then we'll talk about the kind of patience that you need in order to let your money grow over a long period of time. So the way your money grows over a long period of time is through the power of compound interest. And I think it is something that we usually tend to underestimate. Compound interest is, let's take an example of an investment that gives you returns in interest and you keep reinvesting them. At some point, those interests that you have reinvested start earning interest of their own. And the magic in it can be demonstrated in this scenario. Imagine you are given two options. Either you receive 1 million every day for the next 30 days. 1 million. So every day you wake up for 30 days, you receive 1 million. Or on the first day, you get 1 cent. 1 cent that doubles in value every day for 30 days. Which of these options are you going to take? You'll be surprised that that cent that doubles in value every day in 30 days will have grown to 500 million shillings. And that is essentially the power of compound interest. From that small resource, that 1 cent that keeps growing, it is possible for you to get to the point where the returns themselves at the very end are so much greater than what you put in at the beginning. The reason you usually don't get to realize the power of compound interest is because it is usually not evident. In this example of the 1 cent coin, that 1 cent has a return of 100% per day. But typically an investment will have much less than that. Take, for example, an investment that has a return of 11% per year. It is going to take several years before the power of compounding interest becomes evident. When you give it enough time, at some point, the amount that is going to be made from the compounding is going to be more than any amount that you're going to be putting in that investment. And therefore, that is the first thing that you need to have in your mind when you think about using time to make your money work for you. Compound interest is a very powerful effect in investment. However, it needs to be given some time before it becomes evident. So what do you need to do in order to experience this kind of power in your investments? The first thing you definitely need to do to experience the power of compounding is to start as early as possible. The more time that your money has to grow, the greater the amount that it can grow to. Let us use the example. You want to have investments worth 30 million. And let's set two scenarios. One where you start investing while you're 25 years old, and then another one you start investing when you're 50. The target that you want to have that money is by the time you are 60. If you start at 25 years old, all you need to keep contributing every month is a bit over 6,000 shillings. And when you do that over that period of time before you get to 60, it is going to grow to 30 million because of the compounding. However, if you start late when you're in your 50s, you need to keep contributing over 145,000 shillings every month so that you can hit that target of 30 million. The earlier you start, the less you need to do in order for that money to grow to the target that you have. However, if you keep procrastinating starting to invest, it gets to a point where in order for you to achieve the goal, you need to put in much more effort than you would otherwise need to. So that is the first thing that you need to do in order to experience the power of compounding. The earlier that you start saving, the more likely that your money is going to grow to a significant amount of money. The next thing that you need to keep in mind is you need to keep reinvesting the interests or the dividends that you earn from your investment, because you see, compound interest is the interest on top of interest. And if you keep withdrawing from an investment, you are not going to be giving it the opportunity for it to grow to a significant amount of money. Those are the two things that you need to start thinking about in order for you to use the power of time and compounding to make your money work for you. First of all, start as soon as possible. And second, keep reinvesting the interest and the dividends that you make. As we said earlier, at first you're not going to see any effect. You're going to be thinking this is a small amount of interest that I'm making from this investment, and you might feel discouraged. However, as we said, given enough time, that investment is going to start growing and giving you a crazy amount of returns. To get your money to work for you by investing for a long period of time, you need to have patience. And the reason for this is because investment returns are usually not certain. They usually face a degree of uncertainty. For example, if someone tells you that an investment is going to be giving you 20%, what that means is that you're going to be getting 20% on average over a long period of time. There are years that you're going to be making 30% and you're going to be overjoyed. The years that you're going to be making 10% and you're going to be panicked. You're going to be freaking out, wondering whether that investment is worthwhile. However, that is just how it works over a long period of time. And this is worse, especially at the beginning of your investment, where your contributions are still low and the returns haven't had an opportunity to start accumulating and you haven't seen the impact. If you want to experience the power of compounding, you need to resist that urge that comes from panicking, where you immediately feel like moving your investments. If something significant hasn't happened to the economy, or if something significant hasn't happened in the company behind the investment that you are holding, it is always best to hold on to it. And the way that you learn how to be patient and not panic is by, first of all, understanding your risk tolerance. We all have different amount of risks that we can bear. There are people who can bear a lot of risks in their investments and they don't feel like panicking, while others, even a small amount of risk can make make them freak out. Once you understand your risk tolerance, for example, if you find that you have a low risk tolerance, it is possible for you to increase it, and you increase it by, first of all, having a diversified portfolio where you start investing in different things. This way you have a greater sense of security. It is also possible for you to increase the amount of risk that you can tolerate by having some kind of emergency fund that can buffer you in case of things go wrong. Taking these actions is particularly important if you want to get to the point where your money is working for you, because you need to let it sit and grow. If there's nothing significant that has happened in the economy or the company that you're investing in, then you need to let it sit. If you still feel like you're panicked, then a good approach will be diversifying your portfolio, investing in a number of different things, or working on your emergency fund so you have that kind of buffer. So that's how you use the power of time to make your money work for you. Remember that compounding is actually a very powerful force in investment, and given enough time, your money can grow in ways that you cannot believe. However, for you to experience this power, you need to be patient enough to let your money grow. You start early, and then you avoid touching it. Any kind of returns that it makes, you reinvest them. And also you need to have patience in the face of uncertainty by knowing your risk tolerance and then taking those measures that I've outlined to help you improve the amount of risk that you can tolerate. Living like today is the last day of your life is a good way to live when you are on holiday. However, when it comes to investments, investing like you're going to live 100 years is the right kind of mindset to have. Having that long-term perspective is going to help you turn the resources that you might feel are small today into a huge amount of wealth in the future. This has been the Sensei Podcast. We release new episodes on Wednesdays and Fridays. Please subscribe and leave a comment on your favorite podcast provider. I am Ndwati Karanja. Until next time.